pose. Oh, you know something you can do in GTA Online?
What?
You could do mods. You know what mods are?
What's that?
Like you could do something called like you could spawn plane. You could have super speed, super strength, jump super high.
Yeah.
It's like what you're doing on the phone.
Is Top Golf better than? All right. Top Golf, Dave and Buster's, Sky Zone, Go Kart Racing, Autobahn.
Okay, I only want two options.
Wait. That's 3 or 4. Hold on, I gotta get one more. And what's something else we done did? I don't know. All right, just those 4. What's the best? Name them. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Which one's the best? Go Kart, Autobahn.
Can I pick 2?
Yeah, what's the top 2?
So you pick Sky Zone, Go Kart, Top Golf, and Dave and Buster's.
Yeah.
I'll say Top Golf and.
Top Golf for your favorite out of all of that?
No, I'm picking 2. Top Golf and Sky Zone.
So you don't like Dave and Buster's?
I like Dave and Buster's. The only thing I don't like about it is that
Top Golf better
than Dave and Buster's did. A million times. And I don't like Dave and Buster's that much because you gotta swipe a card and you gotta keep on putting money inside to get it. So you're wasting so much money just to go there. You're wasting money. You get it?
Yeah.
And then with the cards and stuff, the Top Golf is fun.
All right.
I almost got it in white.
I'm gonna go next time with y'all.
Next time we're going with us?
Since y'all didn't invite me.
We invited you, G. We just needed some.
It's cool. I mean, it's cool.
We just needed somebody to watch the base.
It's cool, man. You got to invite me.
You wanna play with? Let's hope
It
there's
don't matter.
2 people that we can play with. Like shoot right next to the door.
In there. Sit tight. I'll handle the plastic.
Don't
Blow yourself up.
That nasty. It was all right. I'm trying to be healthy, bro. I need to literally lose 50 pounds. Like, I'm not playing. I need to lose some weight. I need to get down to like 205, 210.
Ooh, that's gonna be kind of smart.
I know.
You're gonna be kind of smart.
I ain't gonna never be small.
You supposed to know how to tie this by now. I showed you now, Miss Lily.
I ain't even on mute.
Nope, you ain't on mute at all, and I believe you'll get small someday. This is Gullah.
Hold on, hold on. Let me turn my shit up. What y'all talking about?
We were just here listening to your whole conversation while we supposed to be learning, but I guess you ain't never getting small. But the young man on the other side sure is dropping a lot of gems.
Hey, what is going on?
Ashley,
hey,
it's
fitness group
for like 30
shout
minutes,
out to
man.
the
You might have to
fitness group.
restart.
I'm sorry. I sent you guys the wrong time. It starts at 5:30. My bad.
It's all good, gangsta.
All right,
Whole
so
time.
my bad. Okay, I'm sorry. So you guys want to start off with, well, actually, I need you guys to mute your screens or whatever, and then we're gonna go over some tips, and then at the end we'll ask questions. So today on my Instagram, I asked people who are already flipping pallets to give some tips to people who are new to flipping pallets. So we're gonna go over the tips that they have, and then at the end we're gonna go ahead and go through some questions. So just mute your phones for me, please. Let's get started. Let me see. I'm so sorry about that. I don't know why I keep putting 5 o'clock when it's really 5:30. All right, let's see here. That just threw me off. All right, where did you guys go? All right, so we're gonna start off with this. So if you guys do not have a warehouse in your area, if you Google liquidation warehouses in my area, so if you're in Las Vegas, if you're in Chicago, wherever you're at, and you don't find one that you like or you don't have one at all, here's 5 top websites that you guys can use for mystery boxes. Now, if you guys are in the chat, you guys will see Chris, not my brother Chris, but let me think of his name on the group chat, but he helps you guys out so much, right? And he owns 2 Pluto and Beyond. So with 2 Pluto and Beyond, they have a lot of mystery boxes. And he was letting us know that he started off with catchingdeals.com. We also have Zapp's Wholesale. He told us that on Facebook, they do auctions on zapswholesale.com, and then we have smallerlots.com. So if you guys do not have a warehouse in your area, you guys can still flip boxes. And honestly, it might be better if you guys start off with small boxes if you don't know anything about flipping, or if you don't want to risk that much money. You guys can start off small even if you do have a warehouse in your area, because you're going to spend less money, right? Because the way that they do the shipping depends on how heavy the item is. Now, if you get a big pallet shipped to your house, obviously it's going to cost a lot more money than if you would get a small box. So the way that liquidation warehouses happen, or the categories, I shall say, is going to be the small cases or boxes. Then you're going to move up to the pallets. And then if you really want to, get into the flipping game of the liquidation items, then it's going to be the truckloads. So here is where you can get, I want you guys to screenshot this, write these down, but these are the top websites. So we asked a few questions. Let me see his name on here. Okay, so OG Short Stuff, he's the one who owns 2 Pluto and Beyond. His name is Chris, and he helps me out with the group chat because I have a lot of stuff going on. So if you see him writing, he's been doing this. He was on my Instagram. We did an interview, actually. I'm gonna try to find a way to post that interview, but he said that he started off, doing boxes and stuff like that. Now he has his own warehouse. I mean, not his own warehouse. Well, kind of a warehouse, but he sells by the truckload. He gets them by the truckload, and then he sells. He gets them by the truckload, and then he sells by the boxes now. So take those down. So we have some tips for flipping pallets. If you're new here, you don't know what flipping pallets is when we go to liquidation warehouses and we're buying the items. Sometimes they're overstock, shelf pulls, customer returns, salvage, stay away from those. And we're buying the items and we're turning around and we're flipping them for profit. So I have some people who have been doing this for a few months or a year and a half, or however long I've been selling the course. And I asked them for some tips that they would tell, people who are new to flipping. So the first one, she says, don't buy based on what you would buy. LOL. The items you think would sell never usually sell first. So sometimes people get stuck because they don't know what to get, because they think, oh, I wouldn't buy this. And you definitely don't want to just buy things that only you would purchase. Some people aren't able to enter the lesson. Uh-oh. Give me 1 second. Okay, there, that works. They fixed it. All right, so the next tip is going to be do your research, and that's going to be a big one. So that girl, her name is Latricia. So she actually just started her own warehouse. Her own, actually, it's not a warehouse, it's a brick and mortar. She got the keys, I think 2 days ago. She told me that her mom, I think her mom passed away, and then her brother is sick, so she has to take care of him, and she had to quit her job. So she's been flipping pallets. She told me that she's like on pallet number. Last time I checked, it was like pallet number 20. So she's been doing this, and she actually just got the keys to her new spot. So she says, do your research. So what do your research means is you don't want to just go in there and just pick a pallet. I've seen too many people just go and buy a pallet just because it said $500 or just because it said $400. If you don't know what's on that pallet, you don't know when's the last time somebody purchased that. And I gave you guys those apps. If you don't know those apps, we're going to get those to you. But there's 2 apps that you guys can use, and they'll tell you the last time something has been sold on eBay. So it's going to be, those are 2 apps that you guys can use. And then also see how much the item is not only retailing for, because you're probably not going to get the retail price for it, but you guys can see how much the item has sold for, right? So you don't want to just go in any pallet just because it's $400 or $500. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good pallet just based off the price. If you scan everything and it's not coming back up, I seen someone got, or what did they get? It was like papers, pens, it was like little cheap stuff like that. And I'm like, and they're telling me that they couldn't make a profit. And I'm like, well, did you search how much the items were going for in the store before you purchased the pallet? And they told me no. So that is like the number one key. Well, besides knowing what category you're buying from. So if you're buying from a customer return pallet, there is a chance that some items will be damaged, but that doesn't mean that the whole pallet is not sellable. I had pallets before where items are broken and you just throw them away. Or if you do sell pieces, some people do just sell the pieces, then let me use my phone. Then make sure that you guys are being honest in your descriptions, right? You don't want to act like something is new when if it's not new, you don't want to do that. So another one is someone said, I made a spreadsheet before I bought my first pallet to show my profits. You guys can definitely do this. You guys can write them down, make your own spreadsheet, or you guys can use QuickBooks. QuickBooks will help you put how much you got the item for, what the item is, how much you sold it for, and then that will help you guys with taxes, because at the end of the year, you want to turn that stuff over to your tax preparer. I really don't get into taxes because that's not my specialty. So just write everything down. And the next one says, scan the items and look for the sold price, not the retail price. And we kind of talked about that. Someone else says, try to buy new product pallets, then return pallets, be 50-50. So he's trying to say, try to find, not every warehouse is going to have new product, right? So the one I go to in in LA, it's called Via Trading. And they have overstock. They'll have boxes full of overstock or shelf pulls. I haven't been there. The last time I went there, I really didn't like what they had, but that was a few months ago, but they get shipments all the time. So he's saying, try to buy new items. Now, that is a good tip, but not every warehouse is going to have new items. So some warehouses are only going to have customer returns, and there's nothing we can do about that. Whatever your warehouse has, or you guys can travel to the next state, you guys can order online. But he's saying basically he likes to stay with the newer items, which I understand, because sometimes it can be frustrating trying to sell items that are either damaged or they've been returned. But let's talk about the reasons why you return an item. So I know a lot of people think it's because it's damaged, but when we looked it up, more people return items because they got sent either the wrong item or they bought it and it's not as described. So that happens a lot. And if you ever worked in Amazon, I worked in Amazon a few times, you know that there's new items coming in all the time. So there's a department called Receive. They receive the new items. And then there's also so many different other departments in Amazon. We're receiving so many items in Amazon that, when you get the old items back, you don't want to put it back on the shelf because you have the new items coming in. So most of the time, they will just put it on a pallet and then sell it to the wholesaler. And then that's when we go and we buy it from them. Because Amazon moves so rapidly that, you know, they're going to just sell off the items. Sometimes there's nothing wrong with the items. Sometimes there are going to be damaged items. And that is something, if this is not something that you're willing to risk, then don't get into this business. And that's another thing. This is a very, very active side hustle, right? So some side hustles are going to be passive. This is very, very active. So if you are not willing to go to the warehouse, pick up the item, or scan through the items to see how much the items are going to go for, put the pallet on your car, your truck, whatever you have, rent a U-Haul, come home, list the items, and you know, try to make a profit, then this would not be something you would be interested in, because you don't want to do this just to say that you're doing this. You don't want to spend your $500, $600, $700 and then you're not willing to put in the work. So this will work if you put in the work. You have to put in the work, and that's what any business, but this is very, very active. This is not passive at all. So, I mean, if you sell online, maybe that you might get some sales, you know, if you make a Shopify store, or if you have it on OfferUp or Facebook Marketplace and you're sleeping, you get, you know, requests or whatever, if you get orders from Shopify, but the actual work is very, 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 very active. And I want you guys to know that, because this is not something that, you know, can just happen overnight. You literally have to put in the work. So if that's not anything you're interested in, please don't just jump into this business, because you will waste your money. You're going to waste your time, and then you're going to be mad at me because you jumped into this business. So another one, it says, I think they're trying to make sure you guys mute your phones, but I think they're trying to say there's not wholesaler liquidations everywhere. If there isn't one close to you, then just order online. And those are those websites I gave you guys. So you don't want to get a big pallet shipped to your house. I've seen people do that too. And it cuts into your profit. The reason why we're doing this is to make profit. We don't want to just do this just to say that we're doing it. We don't, you know what I mean? You're going to lose money if you pay for a $500 pallet. It costs you $400 to ship. Now you're at $900. And now you can only make $200 off that pallet. So it's really not going to be worth it. So if you do not have a pallet warehouse in your area, you guys can start off with small boxes or cases, right? You guys can also go on govdeals.com and buy items like that. And then if it's really just not in your area, if you don't want to order a mystery box or anything like that, you guys can look into retail arbitrage. So retail arbitrage is a little different from flipping pallets. The listing and stuff might be a little similar, but with retail arbitrage, that's when you go into like Walmart, or let's just say you went into the Nike factory or the Nike outlet, and you get it from one retailer and sell it on another retailer. So people go to like Walmart, they'll buy a pull for like 200 and then go on eBay and sell it for like 2,000. That's what people were doing. I'm not saying that's still relevant now, but that's what they were doing. So anytime you buy something from, you know, the Nike store, then you go and sell it on StockX, or you go sell it on OfferUp, or wherever you sell it on a different platform, then that's retail arbitrage. So some people are also into that. And then Ace, he teaches the real estate class. He's also into retail arbitrage, and we are going to Vegas. If you guys want to come meet us in Vegas, you guys can. September 4th, the tickets are $200. So if you guys want to get it in person and you guys are going to Vegas September, you guys can come see us, and we actually go to the warehouse. So it's not like just a meet and greet or anything like that. You guys are going to meet us, obviously, but we're going to talk about real estate. We're going to talk about retail arbitrage, which he does. And then I'm going to talk about pallets. So we're going to actually go to a pallet warehouse. So that's going to be September 4th. If you want more information, just DM me. I don't want to sound like I'm just promoting myself right now, but if you're in Vegas, this will be a perfect opportunity for you to choose which one you want to do. So because not everyone is going to be into pallets, and then not everyone's going to be into retail arbitrage. Retail arbitrage, the whole reselling business is $1 billion business, right? So you have to think about how people get wealthy. They're selling something. They're selling a product, service, information. They're selling something. But the reselling industry by itself is $1 billion industry, and people have been doing this for years. If you go on YouTube, you can watch YouTube. but people have been doing this for years. I don't know if it's not everybody in our community knew about it, but this has been around for years. And I talked to the guy at Via Trading, which is the warehouse in California, and he told me that he's been working at that job for 10 years. So this has been around for a long, long time. I don't think people necessarily know about it just because it's not really promoted that you can go get pallets full of products and then turn around and flip it. But think about all the people who are in. When I very first went to the pallet warehouse, I've seen so many people buying like bulks and bulks of stuff, and they were taking it to the swap meet. So if you guys have swap meets or flea markets or anything wherever you live, a lot of times they get the items from pallets. And Ace actually told me that in Vegas, they'll go straight from the pallet warehouse, keep everything on the pallet, and they'll go sell it at the swap meet. So that's another option. So if you guys have items that are not selling, here's some things you guys can do. One, make sure your listing is good. You want to make sure your pictures are good. If your pictures are crap and you can't take good pictures, you guys can always screenshot the pictures. And someone told me not to do this, but I don't feel like it's a problem. Screenshot the pictures that you guys use on Amazon, Walmart, Target. Just screenshot those pictures, cross out their amount and put your amount, right? So also make sure your descriptions are good. You want to make sure you have capital letters in the beginning of the title. You want to make sure that you don't just put, oh, I have let's just say I have a phone. Like, we want to know what type of phone you have. You want to avoid having the people ask you so many questions, and you want to respond to people in a timely manner, because OfferUp does track how fast you respond. So it's a response time. So you want to make sure you're not just treating it like a hobby. If you're really going to do this, then do it. Don't just, I mean, if you treat it like, oh, I'm gonna do it whenever I feel like it, you're not going to see the results that you want to see. And when you don't see the results that you want to see, it's going to be easy for you to give up. If you just look at it, OfferUp once a week or once every 2 weeks, and your items are not really selling because you're not really putting no effort into it, it's going to be easy for you to give up. And that's what any business is going to be super easy, because it's like, oh, I don't really care about it. And then you're just going to keep seeing people get pallets, make money. And then you're like, dang, what am I doing wrong? But it's like, you're not really putting the effort into it. You just thought about like, oh, it sounds good. And then you didn't think about the hard work that you really have to put into it. So that you can take that with any business. You really have to just keep going, be consistent, and there's going to be trial and error. Some people like OfferUp, some people hate it. Some people like Facebook Marketplace, some people hate it. Some people like eBay, some people hate it. So everything is not for everybody. You might do something that works for you, and somebody else might do that and it might not work for them. That's one thing about this business, is like, everything is not for everybody. You can do it however you want, because this is your business. So let's go on to the next tip, which says purchase marketable products. Do your research on each pallet before purchasing it via those SKU codes. So yeah, we kind of talked about that. So if you have the Amazon app and you're getting a pallet, and you go and you scan the item, you can see exactly how much the item is going for. Sometimes when I went to Via Trading, I want to say like 2 or 3 months ago, they had these high chairs on there, and it showed that they were sold out on Amazon, but they were overstocked. It was crazy because they were sold out on Amazon, but they were overstocked in the warehouse. So obviously there's a demand for them, because they're out of stock, and then they were brand new. So you could have got those and flipped those. But every warehouse is going to be different. There is not a warehouse in every area. Like I said, just order online. So someone says, if you buy pallets from the same supplier constantly, they give you discounts and credit pallets if you ever fall off. And I've dealt with that personally, because I went to a warehouse out here, and it's called Southwest Surplus Sales. I have a YouTube, no, not a YouTube. I think I posted on my Instagram or whatever. But yeah, he told me, he's like, you've been referring so many people over here, and the pallet was $1,300 and they gave it to me for $1,000. So make good relationships with the warehouses. If they see you often, if you meet the manager or anything like that, they can give you, sometimes they have discount codes and stuff like that. So that's why you want to make sure that you make relationships with them, or talk to them, ask them questions. That's another thing. I feel like some people are afraid to ask questions, but that's their business. If they want your business, they're going to answer your questions. When we did the meetup, we did a tour in Southern California about 3 weeks ago. We went to a pallet some guy, he was selling pallets, but he was selling them out of a storage unit. And that's actually really smart. If you guys want to take this pallet game and you start getting truckloads, people start selling out of storage units to keep the overhead low, because you would have to pay rent if you go open a brick and mortar. So what they do is they just go to a storage unit. They talk with the storage unit. He said he asked the storage unit manager, is it okay? I'm going to be selling pallets out of here. And they didn't care. So just make those relationships and ask those questions. So when we went on tour, people were able to ask whatever questions they wanted to the guy that was selling the pallets. Like, this is their business. They know more about pallets than they should know more about pallets than anybody, because they're the ones selling the actual pallets. So if you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask. Just like on, I have some people DM me like, oh, I'm having trouble with liquidation.com. I'm not customer service for liquidation.com. So you guys just call up there, ask questions. Via Trading has a good customer service team when you call up there. So just call, ask questions. And that's another key thing. Some of these warehouses are temporary. They, come around for a year and then they're out of business. Most businesses go out of business within the first 5 years, and then most businesses really go out of business within the first 10 years. So please just call. If you see a warehouse, if you look it up, don't just drive over there. And I have people do that too. Please just call up there and ask any questions. Hey, do I need a seller's license? Hey, are you guys still available or open? What days are you open? I remember I gave this guy my address out here, and he didn't call or anything, didn't look up what days they were open, and he got mad at me because they were closed and it was Sunday. So I'm like honestly, like, if you're not going to put in that little work, then I know that you're not going to flip pallets, right? Because you have to start using your common sense. You have to start doing your research. Like, we're grown, so nobody has to do everything for you. If you're not willing to put in the work, this is not going to work for you. I've seen people turn this into businesses. Like I said, the girl, Latricia, so she started her own business, and I have so many people who started their own business, and I have other people who buy products and they failed at this. And then you ask them X, Y, and Z, and then it tells you exactly why. They're treating it like a hobby. They don't have good listing. Sometimes you can literally walk into a pallet warehouse and you can see certain things just look dirty. They look old. They look like trash. I personally would not buy that. So sometimes it's just going to be a matter of you just paying attention. A lot of people don't pay attention. They just walk in like, oh, okay, I see one thing that I like on the pallet. Let's just get it. And it's like, you didn't do any research. Even before I came out with this course, I was definitely pulling out my phone. The first time I got pallets by myself, well, without, the first time was with those computers. And then when I went to Via Trading, me and my cousin and his girlfriend were literally pulling out our phones and seeing how much items were going for. And I remember I sold my mom a grill basically doing that, because we looked it up. And the grill was for it was an indoor grill for like $64. And I told her, I said, look, this is how much it's going for on on Walmart. And I sold it to her for half of that price. So in her mind, she's getting a deal. In my mind, I still got, 40, 50 other items on this pallet that I'm still going to make money from. So when you show people how much the item is going for in the store and they think that they're getting a deal, it's the same thing with shipping. So if you make your customer pay for the shipping, right? We're going to charge that $5 or however much it is for shipping, but you're going to say free shipping. Say free shipping and charge them $5 more. So if you wanted $50 for it, put it for $55 and then put free shipping. People love free shipping, especially because Amazon's been around. You have to think about, we love instant gratification because of certain things like, the internet or Amazon. When you order something from Amazon, I swear to you now, you can order something from Amazon and sometimes you'll get it the very next morning. And it's so crazy. And it makes people want that type of, they want that everywhere. They don't understand that, Amazon has been around and they got the money and they got, the operation to do that. We don't. But at the same time, they love that free shipping. If you go from paying on Amazon, you get free shipping, and now you want me to pay for the shipping. So I just like to advertise it like that. You guys can do whatever works for you. This is just what I think, in my opinion. So another one says, before listing it, make sure the item is fully workable and sellable. And that is a huge one, because I personally do not do refunds. I'm going to test the items initially. And if it works initially, unless the item is overstocked, or overstock or shelf pulls, meaning they pulled it off the shelf, or it's just overstock, I'm not necessarily going to test it, if it hasn't been opened, excuse me, because, you know, I don't want to mess up the box or anything like that. But if it's a customer return pallet, definitely test those items, because what's going to happen is you can get flagged as a Facebook seller, or as a offer up seller, even eBay or whatever. If you're telling people that these items work and the items do not work, they're going to let Facebook, offer up, wherever, they're going to let them know. And it's going to be harder to build back up your reputation. So if I sell a cell phone right now and it works, I tested everything, the charger works, the cell phone works, it's fine, I'm selling it as is. The only way I would do a return policy is if I turn this into a actual business. So when you have that Shopify store, if you start that brick and mortar, maybe you might offer them some type of warranty or whatever. But some people don't even do that because the warehouses, it's as is. So if you initially test everything and it works, just sell it as is. They come back 2 months, 3 months later, no, we're not doing refunds. This is not the business for that, right? So, but make sure you're honest. You do not want to say, yeah, it works, and you know good and well it does not work. Then that you're going to mess up your reputation. And sometimes that's another reason why we say meet at mutual locations. Just imagine you give somebody your address and you lie and tell them that you have these air conditioners and they work and they don't work, and someone's irritated, they're hot, they go home to work to plug up that air conditioner and it does not work, and now they know where you live, and you can imagine like how furious someone would be, and that will cause problems. So you want to make sure that you maintain your reputation. If it worked when you tested it out, then just sell it as is. Some people do still offer that money back, or they can return it or whatever. Me personally, I'm not doing that, because people try to come back 2 or 3 months later. These items are already, they're discounted items, so I'm not doing that. But yeah, just try to be honest in your description. If the box is damaged, just say that the box is damaged. Someone else asked me, what do you do if they ask you where I'm getting this product from? You don't have to answer that. That's not their business. You don't go ask a Walmart, Target, wherever, who their wholesaler or who their manufacturer is. You don't ask where they get their product from. You don't have to answer people's questions like that, right? But just be honest. If you have an item, the only thing that's messed up is going to be the box, just say minor cosmetic damage. Just be honest with them, because even if you screenshot, so let's just say we screenshot, I showed you guys last week or the week before, when you screenshot from Amazon, Target, or wherever, and just say that you do have that item and it does work, just put in the description that the box is damaged. Because I did see that at a warehouse I went to out here called Metro Discounts. So they also they sell the pallets, but they also have a Facebook store, and they're selling individual items. And the lady came in and she was like, yeah, the picture showed that it was good, in good condition, but look at the box. And the girl who worked there, she was like, well, the box is just messed up, that's it. But you should definitely let people know before, sometimes people think, oh, if the box is damaged, then I can't use it. So you want to make sure that you're honest. Make sure that you put, if the box is damaged, just say minor cosmetic damage to the box or something like that. And then that way you can be like, hey, I already put that in the description, so that there's no controversy when, they come to get the product. So just make sure that you guys are always honest. That was a good one. Another one says, call before you go to the warehouses. We kind of covered that already. A lot of them within my area were closed, and I made the drive for nothing. Definitely call, always ask questions. If you guys do not know something, always ask. Don't pretend that you know something if you don't. If you guys ask me a question on here, I'll tell you in a minute, I do not know. I don't know, because there's nothing wrong. I think there's nothing wrong with saying you don't know, but I think there is a problem with acting like you know and you don't really know. So if you don't know about something, just call and ask. It's not that big of a deal. Like, I mean, I've been in instances where, you ask like, hey, is the place open? You're riding with somebody and you're about to go buy something, like, are they open yet? And they're like, yeah, I think they should be. And you're like, why don't you just call? Just ask questions. Some people are afraid of that, but don't be afraid of that. You learn a lot by asking questions. You learn a lot by experience. Sometimes people ask so many questions that they forget to do the actual work, right? So don't, ask so many questions and then you're like, well, I asked you this and that was that. And then now you don't want to go get a pallet. You actually have to go through this because there's going to be problems that you guys run into that I never ran into before. And there's going to be problems that I run into that you guys probably never run into. So please just ask questions, but also go out there, and the best way to learn is going to be through experience. So just go experience what it's like to buy a pallet. Another question I always get is, should we get an LLC before starting? And I really don't believe you guys should do that, because you see about pallets, but you don't see the actual work. When you go get pallets, you're sweating, you're hot, especially in Arizona. When I went to go get the pallet, I think 2 weeks ago or wherever, it's hot out here. So it's a lot of physical labor. If you're not willing to do that, please just don't jump into this business. So don't go start a business before you actually do the work and see what it's like. You might go flip one pallet and be like, nah, this is not for me. And now you got that LLC and you got to pay taxes on it. And then it's just, some people want to be too official before actually putting in that work. So my advice, the only reason why people do go get LLCs and LLCs and actual businesses before getting to work is because they want to get business credit or they want to be official, which I understand that, and I understand in a sense, but for flipping pallets, I think you need to actually go do it first before the other way around. That's just my personal opinion. You guys can do it however you guys want. I'm not going to go back and forth on that one, but that's just a question that I always get if you're wondering. So another one says, check comps, don't ever buy just because it's cheap. Check items sold on platforms where you intend on selling. That's another huge one. You guys can definitely look on the app. So if you have a desk that's selling, look on OfferUp and see if someone else has that same desk that's selling, see how much they're selling it for and things like that. So that's another good tip. Don't buy items or don't buy pallets just because they're cheap. Just like I said, don't just go and be like, oh, this was a $300 pallet, so I'm just going to buy it. And it's like, okay, and all the items are worth $200. So what was your point? You got to make it make sense, guys. You got to make it make sense. I've seen it so many times. I'm telling you, I've been doing this since 2019, but I've been doing the course. So, I mean, like answering questions and all that. I've been doing that since 2020, the beginning of 2020. So it's about a year and I've seen it all. I've seen people, oh, this is another one. A girl just got scammed out of $900 because people are making fake warehouses and okay, so what they're doing is making Instagrams for fake warehouses, and they'll target everybody that follows me and they'll send them a DM. Hey, I know you're looking for pallets. Where do you live? And let's just say they said Los Angeles, California. They'll be like, great, we live in Los Angeles. I mean, we're in Los Angeles. If you're looking for a pallet, cash at me, Zelle me, or whatever. And people are sending their money. You guys are being targeted because you guys follow me on Instagram. They know that you guys are looking for pallets. So please make it make sense. Do not cash app, Zelle your money to anybody. To me, it's kind of like common sense, but I guess if you're desperate or if you're just looking to get into this, I don't want to say desperate, but if you're just eager to get into this, please just make it make sense. Think about it. Why would you cash app someone and you don't? The only way I would cash app somebody is if I'm in person and I see the product and they're handing it right over. But still, if they're an actual business, they need to have a website. They need to have a customer service number. I've even seen people give an address. This one girl, she told me she sent $500. They sent her the address. And when I looked up the address, it was a church. So sometimes it's just basic asking questions. What's your address? What's your phone number? If they cannot provide that to you, please do not cash app, Zelle. I mean, I've seen it all, and there's absolutely nothing I can do. And it sucks, but there's nothing I can do to get you your money back. You're just gonna have to take that up with your bank. So, and it does, someone said it happens to older people. It does happen to older people because they're a little more not aware about how the internet works or whatever, but please, man, just don't get scammed for your money because there's nothing I can do about that. So let's go on to some more tips and then you guys can ask questions. Someone says, changing directions is okay. I went from flipping phones to pallets with household goods, electronics, then settled in for the slow but steady clothing. Now I'm the plug and selling bulk pallets. Run your race, find what works for you and stay there. Consistency is key. So that is Her Place Pallets. These are all Instagram names that commented on my thing. And I asked them for tips for you guys, right? So change of direction is okay. Some people, that is okay. So if you go from, you might start off with flipping home goods and now you're flipping furniture or whatever works for you. Sometimes it's going to be trial and error, right? So people like to ask, what's the best things you can sell on a pallet? And I don't have the answer to that. It's literally, some people are killing it with the furniture. Some people are killing it with home goods. Some people are killing it with electronics. It literally is going to be one, it might be your area too, because sometimes it might be clothing. So some people want to get into clothing. I don't really like clothing because I don't feel like the profit margin is there unless it's like sports clothing or name brands or something like that. Of course, obviously, you know, if you have sports clothing, you're just going to sell more than just a regular, you know, t-shirt like this. But if you are in a state like Arizona and you're trying to sell jackets, obviously in the summertime, that's not going to work out for you. So sometimes it does depend on your area. Like I got one more of those AC units to sell, and what's it called? So it's kind of perfect because I live in Arizona. So sometimes it depends on where you live also. And then sometimes wherever there's a Amazon, that's usually where like there's a lot of warehouses. So in California, there's a lot, in Kentucky, but oh, and then you guys can also check out what is it called? Not bulk, B stock. So B stock is when you want to cut out the middleman. So you got to get an LLC. This is when you would get an LLC, EIN, and a seller's permit, right? So that's when you could cut out the middleman. You can bid on Amazon pallets and you don't have to go to the wholesaler anymore. I personally haven't done that yet, but I'm definitely going to look into it. So another tip is going to be sell on multiple platforms. And I've seen people do this also where they only sell on one platform and they're like, it's not working, it's not selling, I don't understand why. And I'm like, well, where do you have the items listed? And they say offer up. And I'm like, okay, and what about Facebook Marketplace? What about your social media? Don't underestimate the power of social media, right? Make so much money off social media and you just never know who's looking for what. Somebody might be on there looking for a grill, a trampoline for their kids. You just never know. So especially if you have your social media where it's only people you went to school with or people you work with. In that case, you guys can meet up, you pretty much know who's on your social media. If you don't know who's on your social media, then that's when you will still meet at mutual locations and things like that. You never want to put your safety in risk or anything like that, but use your social media. Start a Shopify store. When you start a Shopify store, then that's when it's going to become palletsforus.com, right? Because you're going to buy that domain and now they go on your website and then you can update your website and you look more official. You don't have to take Cash App anymore. People can pay when you're sleeping. That's when you start making some of that passive income because you're making money in your sleep. You got some sales, while you were sleeping and stuff like that. So, do what works for you. And that's what she says, run your race. So you might start off flipping one thing and it's not going right, or you want to make a little bit more profit. So you try something else. You just got to trial and error. Someone says, I'm a newbie. I just moved to North Carolina, purchased the money pack a few weeks ago, got valuable information, purchased 2 small pallets, just got my seller's license, about to open up a liquidation store. So yeah, so if you're going to open up an actual store, then that's when you want to be official. If you've done this and you're ready to open your store, that's when you want to, or if you start you're doing online and you start making more than $4,000, then that's when you want to start being official and things like that. But make sure that you might flip one pallet and be like, no, I'm over it. And now you wasted your money starting a business, right? So, but anyways, he says, about to open a liquidation store in South Carolina next month, but my advice so far would be to look at the manifest. I automatically cut retail price in half at my lowest profit, then try to bid or buy the price at a fourth or a third or a fourth. So if the pallet, I don't know what he said, sold for 2K, I took it as 1K items to sell. Okay, so what he's saying is if you go online and it tells you that the items are retailing for $5,000, that doesn't mean you're going to get $5,000. So they might put retail 5,000 and they're selling the pallet for 1,000. That does not mean you're going to make a $4,000 profit. And that is the hugest misconception or whatever, because obviously you know that the retail, so what the retail price is what it was selling for when it originally, was selling. So iPhone, if you look up an iPhone, what the retail price is going to be a lot different for what you can actually get for that product at this time, especially depending on the category it's in. If it's is it an overstock? Is it, you know what I mean? Are they refurbishing this item? Things like that. So don't get caught up in the retail price. So he's saying he automatically cuts that in half. If the retail price is 2,000, he's thinking the retail price is going to be 1,000. Also, I try to spot boxes in good shape. Yeah, so just do your research. If you guys are ordering online, please read the manifest, because the manifest is going to tell you what all comes in that item. I mean, what all comes in that box, that pallet, or whatever. Read the manifest, because the headline might say iPhone 10 for sale and it says 10 units, right? But when you read the manifest, it might have one iPhone for sale, and then the other 9 units are going to be like cases for the iPhone. So make sure you click manifest when you're ordering online. If you guys are bidding for product online, bid towards the end of the auction. So I would do the last hour. That's how I like to do it. The last hour, I'm not going to bid. We got 4 days left. I don't like doing that. I like to do it at the very, very end. Another one says, do your research on the demand of the product before buying, right? So we talked about that already. And then this one says, factor in unsellable stuff for 25% when determining your profit. And like we said, just because it says the retail price, they might get you like that. They might be like, oh, the retail price is going to be this amount. But if you look on that pallet and all those boxes are or all the products are damaged, then you know you're not going to get that. So please pay attention to that. Like I said, sometimes you can obviously just look at the box, look at the pallet, and you can see like this is in bad condition. There's broken items. Sometimes some pallets just look like that, and then people still go to buy it just because they want to jump into this business. So please just be careful. Someone says, bring a notebook, write down all the codes, and compare different pallets. Definitely. So when I went to go get my very first pallet, I was like overwhelmed, right? It felt illegal to be in a warehouse. This is crazy. It felt like really illegal to just be in a warehouse full of product. And I'm like, why is all this product here? I just don't understand it. I just didn't understand what it meant to buy a pallet. I didn't understand why all this product was on here. Until you do your research, you realize that, these are customer returns or shelf pulls or whatever the category may be. But definitely just take your time. Any warehouse that is a good warehouse, they're not going to rush you. They're going to allow you to take your time, write down your notes, get out, bring a partner with you. There's nothing wrong with being a partner. Somebody be the calculator, somebody be the scanner or whatever. So I'm telling you, okay, this one is going for this amount, and you're looking up the item, and so you guys can do it like that. I'm trying to think of anything else that I see happening that people just don't pay attention to. Man, like I said, I've seen so many people get scammed off those fake pallet warehouses. So please pay attention to that. Let's see what people say in the chat. What are some top products to look for in the pallets? Her electronics weren't the most profitable. So you guys can do kitchen goods. If you guys have questions, drop them in the chat below about pallets or anything like that. Just go ahead and drop it in the chat. Or if you guys want to come actually see us get pallet or show you guys how to get pallets or product, you guys can come meet us in Vegas. But just drop your questions in the chat and then I'll just read them off like that. So someone says, what are the top products to look for in pallets? Her electronics weren't the most profitable. So you guys can do furniture, you guys can do home goods. Some people are doing lawnmowers or air conditioners, little mini refrigerators. It literally depends on what what your warehouse has too, because I can't tell you, oh, get furniture, and then you go to the warehouse and your furniture in your warehouse doesn't have furniture. Or the same thing about shoes. Excuse me, a lot of people, you know, they want to get into the shoes and then their warehouse doesn't have shoes, and that just leaves them discouraged. Like, you have to change your mindsets from being a consumer to a producer, right? So just because you want to sell shoes and they don't have shoes, don't let that discourage you. You can still make a lot of money selling other things. What are your thoughts on mystery boxes online? To Pluto and Beyond, I think they're sold out right now, but Catching Deals, I heard that's a good one. I haven't purchased Catching Deals. I bought 2 boxes before. I bought Uggs and I bought some Michael Kors boxes from Be It Trading. I think with boxes, it's going to be a lower entry point, and it's also going to give you a feel on it. For one, when you get small boxes or mystery boxes, is going to save you a lot money than just getting pallets, right? Because the pallets are going to be heavy. It's going to be a lot of items on there. You might not have the storage for that. Now, if you get a mystery box, it's going to give you a taste of what flipping products is. So that's going to give you a taste of it. So you're going to get your products, you're going to have to take pictures of it, you're going to have to list it, you're going to have to meet up with the people and things like that. So if you don't want to risk a lot of money, if you just want to get a feel for flipping items, definitely you can get mystery boxes. And I've seen mystery boxes. If you guys are in Arizona, it's called Metro Discount. No, I'm sorry, it's called Southwest Surplus Sales. They have Amazon mystery boxes there. So I think mystery boxes can be good. Just depending on what website you guys are using. So do you guys have any other questions about flipping pallets? Drop them in the chat. And then I'll just go ahead and answer those. If you guys want to see people, every day I post people getting pallets and they'll tell me their results too, right? So I post those on my Instagram and you guys can see those also. Because in the chat, sometimes I'm not always in the chat and I have someone working in the chat. So where to get laptops. So we got, check on, what is it? Govdeals.com. Govdeals.com, type in laptops, type in Macs, type in, I know someone got a bunch of tablets on govdeals.com and then I actually posted it for her and she sold out. So that was kind of cool. So what I used to do on my Instagram, I used to like whoever got pallets and I'll just post them and I'll tag them, but then it'll get to the point where people are like, they'll go to their inbox and say, hey, what's all the information? How do I do this? Instead of trying to get the course or whatever. So I stopped doing that, but you guys can still see, I still screenshot their names. I just don't add them, but yeah. What's the biggest tip you have for promoting your items when you're just starting out? Start off with the free platforms, right? So start off with OfferUp, Facebook Marketplace, your social media. And then if that is not working out, or you guys can have a yard sale. If all else fails and I still have my items, I would definitely just have a yard sale because I have a mentality of we're going to figure this out, right? Then you guys can also boost your listing. You guys can boost your listing on OfferUp and you guys can do that same thing on Facebook. So you have to have a winner's mentality, like this is going to work. Even if it doesn't work, I'm gonna find a way. These items are in stores for a reason, so somebody wants them. It's just a matter of, sometimes you might sit on an item for 2 weeks, right? But if all else fails, have a yard sale. If all else fails, you can donate it to charity. It could be a write-off on your taxes. You just got to figure it out one way or another. There's another app called Macari. You guys can post on Macari. Where else? eBay. Some people love eBay. They don't even do OfferUp or Facebook Marketplace. Like I said, this is going to be your side hustle. So it's going to be whatever works for you. So yeah, someone that says free platform, OfferUp is goated and a yard sale is going to get done. I appreciate you. Great course. Looked up all the websites. Definitely watching some of the online pallets until I found a warehouse in PA. Thank you. I appreciate that. Any other questions you guys have, just drop them in the chat. If you guys don't follow me, you can, and you guys can ask me direct questions on there. I have someone that answers questions, that does the DMs. So you guys can, I try to provide customer service all day on my Instagram. I'm trying to get better on the Wealth Squad, but I do have someone that is in charge of the group chat. So this question says, how would you best deal with customers who claim they did not receive the item? They're gonna have to take that up with the post office, UPS, or wherever. They're just gonna have to file a claim. That's what I would do. I had that happen in, not necessarily flipping pallets, because I stopped selling stuff online when I flip pallets. I don't necessarily send it out anymore, but we have dealt with that when we did the computers. But I dealt with that when I have my own hair care line. So what I would do, they would say, oh, I never received the item. Then they would have to file a claim with UPS or the post office or however you shipped it out, because sometimes they tell the truth, but sometimes they're lying, so file that claim. And if they file that claim in the post office, you guys can file insurance claims with the post office. That's what we used to have to do when the items came damaged or the items was missing and things like that. If they still don't, if the post office is not willing to provide any more assistance, maybe offer them a discount code. It's up to you. You can run your business however you want. You can definitely replace it, but I don't know how you're going to replace it if they come on a pallet. Sometimes it's just one item on there. So what are some of the websites you can go to for new/overstock items instead of customer returns? Each warehouse is going to vary. I know that via trading, they do have some overstock items, but those are going to be makeup. It's going to be clothes, Amazon clothes, and it's going to be, so it's via trading.com. And what else? They have sports clothings and things like that, but every warehouse is going to be different. Sometimes they'll have overstock, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they have both, sometimes they only have customer returns. So there's a list of websites: via trading, liquidation.com, directliquidation.com, bulk.com, catching deals, To Pluto and Beyond, Zaps Wholesale, smaller lots. All of those you guys can use. And govdeals.com is one where any government entity can, sell their items. So sometimes like the students will get new computers, new tablets or whatever, and they'll sell off their old ones. If you have a tablet or an older Mac computer, that they usually update. So there's nothing necessarily wrong with it. It's just not the latest version. So then they'll get the latest version, they'll auction the stuff off, and then we can go off and buy those items. All right, any other questions? Just ask them in the chat. Thank you. All right, guys. So if there's no more questions, just ask them in the Flipping Pallets chat. You guys can follow me on Instagram, ask me on there. All right, I appreciate you guys for tuning in.